Hey, Alex, I had a question. You had earlier today talking about something interesting when it came to the pain point or the problem that a client has, right? And I think you shared it as because what I did was somebody brought up a pain. Oh, it was the client that had money overseas, and he wanted to know like what recommendations I had, and I told him with I'm not an attorney. I don't advise on stuff like that. However, here's like the questions that I would have if you were my father, right? Like things that you and I would talk about.
Yeah, right.
And then you flipped it.
So
Can you maybe share? Because I'd like how you did that. Yeah.
yeah, okay. So it's kind of the classic asking questions to probe, and you're not telling the client what to do. But what you're doing is you're enhancing their fears, right? When someone asks a question like that, the question was, I've got assets overseas, and I really need some advice about these assets overseas. Should I bring them? Should I get them out of those countries? Like what is Jordan and Iraq, right? Yeah,
That's right.
yeah. So the country of Jordan, Iraq, and it could be, it could be anybody in any type of situation that's asking you advice. But this was specific to that, and so I told Paula, I go, well, here's a way that I could have asked him questions like, wow, that's an interesting question. Why are you asking that question? Okay, so now what you're doing is you're starting to stir up the fear pot, right? And that concern might be like 20% concern, right? But what you're doing is you're making that 20% concern 100%, because any 20% concern is 100% concern if you ask the right questions. So the question is, why are you asking that question? Well, I'm just kind of worried that maybe being over there, I don't have as much control over it. Or what you do is you let them voice their fears, right? Oh, tell me more about that. And then once you get their anxiety, their emotional anxiety to like raise, then you kind of close them with, wow, okay. So what would make you not fear any of that? What would make all those fears go away? What would you do to make those fears go away? And then you shut up and he'll come to the conclusion, yeah, I need to get that money out of there, huh? Probably it would be wise if you can go to bed at night with no worries about those assets because it's here in a safe bank in the United States. Now what you're doing is you're amplifying the good feeling, emotional good feeling that he's going to feel by making that decision. And then you do words like, so imagine all that money, all your assets are no longer over there. It's in a safe place here in the United States. You think when your head hits the pillow, you're not going to be up at night worrying about that? You shut up. He's going to, yeah, okay. Well, I think you answered your own question, right? I think you know what to do. So basically the concept is finding the doubt that they have and making them voice that doubt so that emotional part comes out, and then opening up the whole notion of, so what would make you feel better? What do you think would make you feel better where you no longer have to worry about that? So they end up answering their own question. And you can do that with any little fear. So you amplify the fear, right? And it gets to be huge. And then you ask them, what would you have to do to get rid of that fear? And then they answer their own question. So does that make sense, everybody?
Yes.
And you can use it with any kind of
ingenious.
Yes.
and you can use it with any kind of fear that someone might have. They're kind of waffling on a decision. And then you focus on what they fear most about that. Because every decision has positive and negatives, right? The one they fear the most, that will get them to do what they really want to do. That's probably the biggest cause of inaction, is they don't know what to do because they have fear, right? So that's why people that can voice a fear, you just emotionally bring that out through questions, asking questions, and then, there you go. You get them moving again. It could be teacher retirement. It's one of those, well, now I'm kind of curious, why haven't you really done anything about it until now? You're 45 years old, you're coming to us, and so tell me exactly what why did you wait so long? What was it about your situation that made you wait until now to take a look at this, right? And they say whatever they're going to say. Well, I just thought about retirement and I'm 20 years away from it. And I was wondering how much money I'd have coming in. Oh, okay. That's cool. So what are you most concerned about when it comes to retirement? They're not going to have enough money to live on? Huh. That's a fair fear. So tell me more about to live on. What would you do? How would you live? Would you be able to retire? What does that look like? That realizing you're not able to retire at 65 because you don't have enough money. And you shut up. You don't barrage them with questions, but you pull up the fear. It's like, So tell me, what would make you sleep better at night where you no longer have that fear? That's why I'm talking to you, right? Okay. Well, I can't promise you that I can help you. See, this is some NEPQ. I can't promise I can help you. Let's explore and see how we can help. But, no promises, but hopefully there is something there. Let's go ahead and get on with it. See, what you're doing is building the fear. They call it the gap, right? It's the NEPQ gap. So what you're doing is you're amplifying what they want in the future, and what they're doing now is not going to get them what they want. So that's called the gap, right? And so what you're trying to do is build that gap up emotionally to the point where it is untenable in that situation in the future. And so you bring them back to now, how can we make that gap go away by putting something in action and then exploring what to do? And, the deal's closed. It's closed because you brought them there through emotion, and then you bring them back to today, what they can do logically to close that gap where their fear is diminished or gone, right? They can go to bed knowing that because of you help them get to that place. Does that make sense? And I didn't even attend the seminar, the webinar.
Hey, Alex.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add one thing with, enhancing that fear is Pablo and Kyle taught me when we were doing that red line, green line, blue line chart, and it shows the 22-year analysis of what $100,000 looks like in all of those accounts. When I show them that red line and say, in 2002, when 9/11 happened and the dot-com bubble happened, those teachers had to work another 1, 2, 3, 4, and I counted out 5 years. And if they really want to retire, did you realize that they couldn't retire because they probably didn't have something in place? How would you feel if that happened to you?
Yeah, that's good.
Because the last thing they want to do is have to work. So in a sense, what you were taught just now is actually just incorporating that into it. So instead of just having a long conversation, because they don't want to have long conversations, while we're doing these presentations, guys, we have the ability to utilize that when we're doing it, when we're doing it, showing them, well, look, what happened in 2008? Then we had the real estate crash. Do you see that there was another 5 years? Now let's stop for a minute. Do you see that there's 12 years time that your money did nothing? Is that the type of investment that you would really want to do? Is that what you would feel happy with? And like you said, just shut up and wait for those answers. They're really powerful questions. So thank you for going over that, because there's some more things I'd like to add to what I already do to make it even more powerful. So thank you for what you've done tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And, when I think about the business building side of the business, what I just showed, you can see how powerful being able to ask these type of questions are. You're in total control when you ask questions. It's easy to see if you have leads like the Infinity Box leads that are IUL leads, and they're coming in, and can you see yourself closing literally 5 sales a week with Infinity Box? You can do it. And again, the average premium is much higher, but like Jeff Schultz, 200, 250 per sale is about his average. Even at 250, like I just showed you, you did 5 sales a week, on people that already are screened for IUL. Well, you're not even explaining an IUL because they already understand it. You start talking about how much do you think you could put away every month in an IUL, so we've got lead programs for it. And then we've got, training. We've got a ton of training resources for you to use. And we've got agents that are utilizing all those training resources to be able to do what they're doing on the teacher lead program, and we have some agents that are going to pursue the Affinity Box program. I think there's merit in it because it's a majority of those closes are one appointment closes as opposed to the teacher lead program, which are 3 appointment closes. So, or more, depending on how much you have to kind of keep the client on the line. But that's why I think it's viable to show business opportunity with one IUL sale a week. I mean, it's on a part-time basis, that's pretty insane. Anyway, I got 9:28, 2 more minutes. Who's got questions for me? Does this help anybody?
I just got a quick statement. I noticed you did the Jeremy Minor move.
I know, and I need to.
He uses that a lot, closing it.
Yeah, I didn't even attend the webinar, but I did read the NEPQ book. It's amazing what you learn by reading the NEPQ book. What I love about the book, I was telling Pablo this. There's this Australian Asian dude with the crazy hair that I see shorts on how to speak effectively. He does these great teachings on how to speak. I want to attend one of his webinars. He's just great. And the one I saw recently was on pausing, right? On pausing. The reason why that was significant to me was that the NEPQ book talks about the ... where you should pause. And he talked about the reason for pausing is to give people a chance to catch up with you and process the information that you gave them, whether it's an IUL or whatever. So when you pause, people are more drawn in because it just forces them to listen to you. So the power of pausing, and the NEPQ talks about that, right? In the book talks about pauses. That's why it was like super effective. So, because I was listening to Pablo, I was working on this PowerPoint, and Pablo was behind me taking over a client, and so we talked after that. He was over. His meeting went great. I thought, it might be more effective if you threw some pauses in there and stuff. So immediately he writes down pause on his whiteboard. Pause. It was great. I loved it. But that, if there's any nugget that will help you, it's to incorporate pauses when you're speaking to your client so they can mentally catch up to what you're trying to convey.
Another way that Minor uses pauses is to emphasize something that's important.
That's right. It's like an emphasis, like a bold. It's like bolding words to emphasize the importance of a concept or idea. So, absolutely.
So, going back to what you were talking about earlier, matching that with the word now. So, Alex, it impresses me that you're paying attention to this retirement planning. What is it that's important to you now about looking into this?
The now.
Yeah.
I love that, the proper use of, or the smart use of words. In NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, we call that future pacing. And there's NLP all over Jeremy Minor's stuff. I'm sure he studied it, but that's called future pacing. And when you use future pacing in how you ask questions, it's the gap idea, the idea of, what you want your future to look like, that is not going to happen if you continue doing what you're doing. And so that what's important to you now. So that the now infers, I think I remember reading this in his book, the now infers that something's different than what you've been doing, and then you're being motivated to. And so all you're doing as a salesperson is opening the door to what they can do now to change, to close the gap in the future. So it makes it more present. And the other thing that it does, it makes them motivated to do something now, right? That is called an embedded command in neuro-linguistic programming. So using the word now as an embedded command in your language will cause them psychologically to do something now, right? Because when you talk about the future, that future that they desire will not happen if they don't do something now. They will do something now, right? So Al, the whole thing that you're running into with people stringing you along, A lot of these Jeremy Minor stuff and NEPQ will help you create that urgency through language. Again, when I look at that stuff, I look at it purely from the NLP perspective of what he's trying to accomplish, and it's really cool how he uses that stuff, and I can see his tricks, his NLP tricks, which legitimizes everything that he's teaching. That's why I like his stuff a lot. So anyway.
I was listening. I've been listening a lot of Ed Milet.
Ed Milet.
He has a lot of great interviews with some great successful people. And he was talking to Brendan Bouchard. It was the one today. And they touched on framing and framing. And
framing.
That's really been on my mind lately, the framing, how you frame things.
Yeah, Jeremy Minor uses those words. Those are NLP words again. Those are NLP concepts of framing. It's all in the setup, right? And politicians use framing all the time. So during presidential election season, it's a master class on how to frame arguments. Like a Democrat can say, "Oh, I'm pro-life," and then they frame it how they want to frame it, so they can appeal to pro-lifers, even though they're a Democrat. And so they frame the argument. Then, or when someone asks them a question, are you blah blah blah? He doesn't answer he or she doesn't answer the question. They reframe the question. So the reframed question that they answer sounds like what people want to hear, when in fact they avoided the original question. So reframing works a whole bunch of ways, and Minor definitely uses that power of that reframing, that is framing, to ask questions. You're right, dude. Cool. All right, gang. Well, that was good, man. I have that book with me, the NEPQ book, and I was studying it on the way on the airplane. And what I love about it is there are scripts in there for different industries and how you can adapt his scripts to what you're doing in our industry in life insurance. And there are some life insurance scripts in there that talk through a lot of these skills, the 5 levels of what you need to take a client through. But reading other industry scripts can help you adapt, what your rap is with a client in the insurance industry. So anyway, cool. All right, gang, that is it, man. I hope this helped, and great discussion, and rock on, gang. God bless. We'll see you later. I fly back tomorrow morning, so pray that I get home with no delays.
There we go.
Yeah.
Thank you.